Hello, hello, hello. Today, our guest is Chad Paton. Welcome to our podcast or the Home Service BC podcast, whatever you want to call it. Today is Chad Paton. He's a plumber in Fraser Valley, and he's going to talk us about his journey, his business, and what brought him at Home Service BC. So, Chad, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Mario, thanks for having me. Glad that we got to connect on this. My name's Chad. I am just a plumber. I started plumbing in 1998. I did about 10 years working for three different companies, and then I started my own company, Paton Plumbing Worx Inc., in 2008. So we are just wrapping up, I guess, 16 years in business.
That is awesome. How is the journey going? Do you like it? How do you feel? It's a long time.
It's been a long time, been some ups and downs. I wasn't for sure dead set on being, a business owner or an entrepreneur. In trades, it's very easy to get jobs for yourself and keep one or two guys busy. Organically, it's just grown and started to evolve. To today, we have a team total of 9 people. That's 8 guys out in the field in various roles, and then myself mostly just taking meetings and doing office work with one of my guys as a PM.
Perfect. So what made you jump from, let's say, freelancing or working for another company to create your own company? What made
Well, I worked at a couple of companies early on for a couple of years each, and then I had a great opportunity with my last employer that I stuck with for nearly 7 years. And it was just time for a change. We had bought a house. I'd been with my wife now for a couple of years. We were talking about ideas for the future, and I was spending an awful lot of time back then commuting way far away to, from Langley, Surrey area all the way up to West Van, North Van, UBC, almost every day. The work was really good, getting to work on a lot of really cool projects. But sometimes you're 2 to 3 hours of traffic, which my guys put up with nowadays as well. But we ourselves have a lot of work towards the valley that's evolved, so
yeah,
I don't normally try to pressure them to commute hours and hours if we can avoid it. Try to keep the guys happy, and it was just a time for a change. So I thought if I was going to start over from the bottom somewhere, I could always give it a try for myself.
that's true. And it's going well. You got 8 employees, you're 16 years in the business. So I think it's getting quite well. What is the main service? And I'm reading here on the script. What's the main service? What do you specialize on? What's your bread and butter, or what you like to do, basically?
Well, we're a little bit varied in the fact that we do roughly 60% of what we do is commercial plumbing renovations. The other 40% seems to vary year to year or times of year come and go between conventional kitchen and bathroom renos in people's houses, condo renovations, as well as high-end custom homes. And they come and go. Sometimes our custom homes will last up to 3 years. So we might be done a stage on one of those houses and not go back for an entire year. And then we have 2 to 3 more months on it while the finishings are happening, and it keeps things interesting. Definitely with the times we're in these days, it's good to be, in a couple of different things, but it's also good to be pretty focused on stuff that you're good at.
And what do you like? What's the stuff that you like? I love to do this more.
What I'm really keen on would be technology, the newer technology involved with heating, tankless water heaters. We've got heat pump water heaters now on the market that are evolving, as well as lots of the high-end features that come along with the custom homes, like the home automation stuff. We have smart water valves now that will shut your hot water tank off at your house or your main water off if there's an abnormal flow or an overage of use. It can send you a text or an email depending on the type of app. We've done those in condo buildings where they require it now for insurance. And a lot of guys start to get to the age, I'm in my mid 40s, so I'm a little bit of a boomer compared to some of these techie kids, but I still can get behind the fact that things will evolve and mostly for the better.
That's awesome. It looks like AI is going on every industry out there. So it's everywhere. It's
Yeah,
not,
there's some AI in there. Our tankless water heaters, the majority of them will learn your usage rhythm, and then it'll make adjustments based on that. So in my
yeah,
house, I have it set up to keep itself warm. So there's a small reservoir of warm water, but it knows that we don't tend to use it, from 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. So it doesn't do it in the off periods.
Okay.
It's
So
better
it
on the
looks
equipment and better for fuel consumption and the environment.
okay. So that's the benefit. Basically, if you use technology more, what's going to happen is that it's going to learn your habits and it's going to adjust. So you basically spend less energy. That's how I understand it. Is it correct?
Yep, that's one of the upsides of several of the things we get into. Yep.
Okay. What else? Why should somebody like a homeowner or a business, why should they basically, because I think it might have also an extra cost, right? Having these new technologies. Why should somebody do it? What's the reason for that?
There's a couple of different reasons you might look to some of this stuff, whether it's, say, a smart thermostat that you can control off your phone, or a automated water shut off, or people are also doing, out and about, you'll see people with remote access to their irrigation, or that they can open their garage door for a friend to grab stuff. Mostly that's all convenience related. Some of it, though, is really cool because you can tell if you happen to look, say, one of our houses with radiant heat that we've worked on has one zone that I could tell by logging onto an app that it for some reason has called for heat all summer long. So I let him know, even though it's not heating his house because it's warmer outside, so the system knows not to heat it, that we have to come and we have to look at what's going on. And I think that just one of the actuators on the manifold is shorted out and it's stuck open. So it's creating a call for the heating system to operate. If it was the middle of winter, that would probably be abnormally warm and he should feel that. But it's an area of his house he doesn't go in all the time. It's a downstairs sort of library, study, basement rec room area. So they might not go down there for a week or two sometimes.
Okay, so it's convenient. You save energy. You said something about insurance. There are some new insurances that require you to have some type of.
Yeah, there's, for automatic water shutoffs, there is a lot of call for that now with home insurance wanting those installed so that they'll cover you for flood damage. And there's also the people that have any kind of sump pump, whether it's the stormwater outside or a basement sump pump for the actual septic itself. There's extra alarm floats we can add to it that can be added to home alarms to give you a notification you have a problem before you have a devastating disaster on your hands.
Okay, awesome. What? There are so many different plumbing companies out there, and I see, there are different options out there. What makes your company unique, special? You've been in the business for 16 years. You got 8 people working in the same company. What makes you guys unique, special? What's your unique selling point? I'll put it in the market.
So I'll give you a couple of things to think about here.
Yeah.
So when you're picking out a plumber, anybody out there, there is hundreds, if not thousands, of companies to choose from. Basically, you have to be able to trust somebody. I myself had luckily have built lots of long-standing, trustworthy relationships. And a very interesting fact to that would be that I actually get more referrals from other plumbers, whether it's a job that they can't take on or it's a region that they don't want to work in, but I'm trusted by them to work for their clients or to take over on something that's a little out of their kind of wheelhouse. And that speaks volume for itself in the industry. And there's lots of guys that will spend a ton on the marketing and spamming things, or there's lots of different ways you can go about it. And it creates all kinds of different problems. Some guys want lots of smaller jobs, so you need a lot more leads.
Mhm.
We're a medium size, what do we call an average job size? So typically on the average, we would be not just a small service call needed to be done for, say, 6 or 8 calls every single guy a day. That's a whole lot more clients that you have to go through. We're normally on the medium-sized renovation projects, and that kind of needs a better relationship.
Mhm.
And the best thing I could say is that most of the people that we have been working with, we've worked with for a long time. And usually, I'm not just your plumber. I'm not just your next plumber. I'm now your plumber.
So you have a relationship for life, and that shows by the fact that other plumbers basically send you their project. So you have a name and trust in the plumbing community.
Yes, that's a unique side effect from being in a couple of associations that have me interact with a lot of other guys, working with them, whether it's in training situations or just getting
Yeah.
to know them and trying to improve all of our businesses at the same time.
Awesome. Can you share a memorable project or a success story? Something that, I don't know, you were the hero of the
The hero. Okay, so the first one that comes to mind, obviously, we both have a friend in common, Tim, that runs the Barley Merchant
yeah,
Taproom,
yeah.
and their hot water tank decided to die. Roughly 4 years old, has a 3-year warranty, lasted 4 years. I had already done a repair on it, and he had to make the tough decision at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday afternoon with a lineup outside the door to shut the restaurant down because we couldn't wash dishes, clean glasses, or wash employees' hands in the kitchen. And we ended up starting the process and coming up with a solution. The replacement tank wasn't readily available. The alternate tank wouldn't fit exactly where the old one was. Kind of created an interesting issue. So we decided to pivot and give him kind of an upgrade on his system for a convenience standpoint. So now he's got 2 tankless water heaters. In case one breaks down, he still has one that'll be operational. And they're a lot easier to get parts for, as well as the fact they pump into a buffer tank now, so he has a large volume of water to use at times. We were scrounging up parts in the evening and out to site at 6:30 in the morning, and I think we got the hot water first fired up around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and he had staff in prepping because I had pretty much told him that for sure you'll be open for dinner. And I think it was around 4 o'clock he said his first customers the next day.
Yeah.
The actual cost was probably readily similar to if we had to replace his tank for him, but I sure hope that the system that we've installed for him not only costs less to operate on a monthly basis, but probably has a 2 to 3 times the lifespan of the replacement tank that would have gone back in.
That's awesome. So now you're gonna have free beers for life.
Free beers for life, it's probably not free all the time, definitely every once in a while, but I'll show you something that's on my desk, so this is great. He actually made a card here,
Oh yeah,
sort
super
of looks like me, and he had a ton of the staff sign
That's
that
awesome.
for me. And
That's
there's one jokester in here. Most of them say thanks for helping us out and getting us back in business, and one guy just said happy birthday.
Who was that guy? That's awesome.
Exactly. That guy's got a great sense of humor. So luckily, we're good friends. He trusted me. We kind of just went for it, made it happen. And in my business, no news is good news. So since I haven't been back to look at anything in several weeks now,
Yeah,
they just go to work and the water's hot when they turn the tap on.
that's awesome. That's a sweet story. That's a success story, and this story has everything. That is awesome. Okay, my next question. What's your number one tip for homeowners hiring someone in your trade?
So the hiring any type of trade, I would say the best thing is through some sort of a referral and having some sort of way to just check them out. Obviously, let's say Google reviews, very good way. We have a friend in common. He's got 500 or 600 Google reviews. I've
Yes.
only got roughly 20 or so. But it's an indication that people of over the years have taken the time to go ahead and say, you've done a good job. Not to mention the fact most of us, if they needed, I had a commercial client that was referred to me by somebody, so I offered him references. He didn't need them, but over a casual conversation about the type of job we were about to do for him, he could tell I knew what I was doing. I understood the restaurant business of how, this is a fried chicken place. I've done several brands of fried chicken restaurants, and a couple of things that they wanted to do. He asked me about. I gave him my opinion, and then I threw out some ideas right away. They didn't all get taken up, but we have a great working relationship, and that's a new lead that we're only doing our first job for. And I've also was just ran into my first ever customer that I got when I first announced that I was going on my own in the summer of 2008. One of the guys that called me through a referral right away. He's retired, but I ran into him the other day, and he asked me to help out. I think his nephew's got a place in Cloverdale, needs a few things fixed. So still to this day, my very first contact is still using me.
That is awesome. That's definitely a success story. So you'd say for a homeowner, you'd say they need to check references, they need to check reviews, And basically they could also understand if they have a conversation with the potential tradie if they have the knowledge or not to do the job that they claim to be able to do.
Yeah, I think most homeowners would. Now, there's lots that don't understand at all what's going on, and I feel like just the way that a contractor of any type in any trade talks to a client,
Yeah,
if you've got, let's just say a hot water tank, that's a really common problem. A hot water tank's broken or needs replacement. You can get out any listing you want to look up or Google or Bing or all
yeah,
those search engines and find somebody, Facebook Marketplace. There is tons of people out there, but we
yeah,
prefer different brands for different reasons. We might ask better questions. We might, be able to come and help you out immediately right away this afternoon, or if you need somebody to come on a Sunday, those kind of things, you'll probably be expecting different charge out rates and different costs. They greatly vary, but as long as somebody feels comfortable using the company, it's not always that the first person that shows up on a search engine is the best option,
thank you
but
for advertising me. Just kidding.
no, it's not exactly. It's that's something that you have to also then ask yourself, how do I feel about this? If somebody doesn't have time for you or doesn't have anybody to refer you on to, kind of leaves you on your own, then you don't get really anywhere. But if you hopefully, like say, you had asked me for something for a friend and I can't help them
Yeah,
out, I at least will try to connect them with somebody else that I know and trust for them instead of just wishing them well and on their journey.
got it. What's a common mistake that homeowners make that you'd like to help them avoid?
I think the biggest thing that I know it's very important would be cost and value.
Mhm,
There is always somebody out there that's cheaper, and there's always somebody out there that's probably twice our price. And I
mhm.
bet you every trade you talk to would be the same. That can range from mowing lawns to framing houses, but the value you get will be determined by the quality of work that you're getting, the timeline it's delivered on, and then the relationship you have at the time with the type of trades you're hiring.
So what's the mistake they should avoid? What should like
Oh,
um
the greatest thing would be there was a golden rule of always getting three quotes,
okay.
which doesn't necessarily achieve anything except for you get a spectrum of pricing. But I would definitely be wary and ask a lot of questions of the lowest cost. I prefer to be middle to high end myself, and I would think that as long as you can afford to, you should try to look and get towards the upper end of that type of project so that you get, whether it's a small repair or say a heat pump or tankless retrofit, you're going to get a good quality install that lasts you years and years.
Perfect. Okay. We talked before about automation AI, so now my question is directly related a little bit to that. How do you see your industry evolving in the next few years?
This is interesting. I was just on a trip to a manufacturer, and they had some automated robots in their factory that move things around. It was really interesting to see. A part gets manufactured on one part, has to go 300 feet down the line. A little R2D2 looking platform comes, picks it up, drives it. It doesn't bump into you. It sees you. It puts its blinker on so you can tell which way it wants to go so you can get out of its way. It was pretty cool,
Yeah.
but there's still personal touch needed. And in the majority of the plumbing and the heating and gas fitting industry, it's manual work. Things physically have to be installed somewhere. But one of the most interesting processes I'm seeing now is a lot of 3D modeling and a lot more better estimating and layout software that comes along with the larger projects so that we can create better material lists. We can forecast issues where things will be installed. Typically, the first guy to get on the site takes the spot that best works for him. And you go down the line, and some of us, there'd be an order where the drains for the plumbing have to go in a certain place. And the next hardest thing to do would be the HVAC, the major trunk lines. So a wire is very flexible. The electricians come after the majority of that stuff's in. They can run wires left, right, up, down, all over. We can only run pipes from a high point and drain them downhill. So we have restrictions we have to work with. Lots of that can be determined and sorted out now. And on a massive scale, it's interesting to me. It doesn't affect me myself very much, but in high rise construction, they're prefabbing a lot of materials and parts to be installed and assembling them in, let's say, a basket. So a suite in a condo will have a package to be put together, just like you get from IKEA when you buy a desk, instead of me having to get out a tape measure and mark all the holes and figure out the list myself.
What does it mean for a homeowner or for a business? Like better
That could greatly depend on the type of service you need. There's mostly during your renovation, if you're setting up or moving locations, that kind of stuff will come into effect. The average homeowner, there is really cool technology where you can find things like, say, you could put sensors in several different rooms, and we could find ways to balance your airflow for a heating system, or we can keep tabs on your water temperature and water consumption with water meters and lots of these other things. And that stuff's all going up in cost. The utility costs that we get metered on, especially with some of our equipment now in some of the areas have no natural gas rules. They're going to a zero carbon footprint. So knowing how your equipment operates, if it's all electric, it's actually more expensive to operate compared to the equivalent in gas. So if you're going to spend 2 or 3 times on a utility for that, you definitely want to know that it's operating properly, it's only doing what it needs to do, and you're not wasting money or time.
perfect. Okay. Okay. I think I got it. I need more details on this one, but we're not going to spend more time on that. But I think I got it. This.
Sure.
Um, not in as many details as you. What goals or exciting projects do you have coming up?
Let's see. Goals, business goals. I'm hoping, this year goes quite well, as good or better than the last couple of years have gone for me. That would be amazing. Personally, we're going to be doing some renovation work, and we have a little more downtime and trips booked for myself and my wife. And for interesting projects, we've got a couple coming up that may come through. One of them would be a really interesting high-end custom home that has some pretty wild features. I've never seen somebody with a display hallway for their sword collection. That would be cool to be involved in.
That would
And
be
then
amazing.
there's some commercial projects and some people I hope they'll work out down the road. We're talking 6, 9 months away, so it's the early stages. We'll see how permits and whatnot go that have come up that you never know.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I've never seen or heard anything like that. Okay, we are the rapid fire round. This is the fun part of the whole podcast.
Finally.
All right. Well, I think it's been fun the whole way. Like the story with Barley Merchant, that's awesome. And then I don't know who was the guy that said happy birthday.
I'll find it. I'll let you know later.
Okay. So question for you. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Favorite BC getaway spot?
BC getaway spot. Let's see. We have a place that we go to up in the Okanagan. It's in lake country, and
Mhm.
it's up on a private lake about 20 minutes off the highway. Very spotty Wi-Fi, so it's a really nice getaway to go to. Rustic log cabin where you gotta have a wood fire to stay warm some nights.
Perfect. Biggest DIY fail you've witnessed?
Oh, biggest fail. Let's see.
It looks like
Biggest
you got a
fail.
face there.
I've seen some doozies over the years. I've seen a lot where I would probably say when people are digging, have a small excavator, you're going to do a small project. Call before you dig. They can locate a few things, normally only at the curb of your house. I've seen people dig things up in the backyard, break a gas line, pull a wire out that feeds something. There was a time we were working on a water service, and I had asked the guys to hand dig the rest of the line. It was about 10 more feet, but the excavator decided to help them and rip the electrical service out of the meter. So we had to call BC Hydro on emergency, and they had to re-pull wires in from the street. That was pretty awesome. That wasn't a DIY, but it was something I've seen along those lines.
Awesome. What do you love to do outside of work?
Outside of work, let's see. I like to have a couple pops or lunch or coffee with some other good friends in business and outside. I'd like to drive my old truck a little more often. I have a 55 Chevy pickup I inherited that's a good fun time. And I have a guitar collection that I should play a lot more. It would look like I play a lot better than I do.
That's awesome. One piece of advice you'd give your younger self.
The biggest piece of advice I would have looked back at 18-year-old Chad when he first started plumbing. I did not realize I should have bought 5 houses back then living in the lower
Ah, well,
mainland of British Columbia. But the best advice I think I would give, which I almost pulled through on my own, was make sure you have really good, well-rounded experience because that experience builds as you go. If you have a very, very narrow focus, then you don't have a lot of exposure. That just limits the types of things you can do later on in business or in your career.
awesome. All right, we're wrapping up. How can a homeowner or a business actually, yeah, because you're also starting business as well. How can a homeowner or a business reach you out? Like, where can they find you?
Well, we've got Instagram, Facebook, website, Paton Plumbing Worx Inc. On the Facebook and Instagram stuff. PatonPlumbingWorks.ca is the website. I come up on most search engines. Paton. There's a silent and invisible Y in there.
And I will also add a Home Service BC website, so you can find Chad also there.
Newly launching.
Newly launched. We are in the process. Awesome. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate your time. And I also think that people who are watching, and especially homeowners, they're going to appreciate it as well, especially on how to choose the right plumber and why they should choose you. So thank you so much.
Awesome, Mario. Can't wait to see the finished product.
It's going to be awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, man.